が消えかかるそれがオレンジャー熱い血流れる鋼のマシン
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 29 of For Your Eyes Ohranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Each week we watch an episode of the show and share our thoughts with you, the listeners. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today, bud?
Hot. Real hot.
Having a hot time somewhere in the city?
Yes.
Is the back of your neck getting dirty and gritty?
Yeah, mostly just because of the sweat, actually.
Sure. If you bend down, isn't it a pity that there doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city?
Well, you know, it's nighttime now, so there are shadows.
Well, you know, Dave...
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just night. If it's nighttime, are they still shadows, or is it just...
Well,
Anyways.
Dave, you may or may not know this, but in the night, it's a different world. You go out and find your girl. Come on, we'll dance all night. Just like the heat, it'll be all right, and hey, don't you know it's a pit? I'm sorry, I've gone way too long on this stupid
Yeah, I was
joke.
going to say, I just sort of wanted to see how long you would go on that.
And I guess we have discovered it. We have gone until only I was enjoying it, and even that got a little thin. Dave, speaking of things that I enjoy, today we are watching, and hopefully you do too, we are watching episode 29 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. It is called Dance, the Invasion Cram School. But before we get into that, Dave, as always, shining in the heavens there are 5 stars. Would you like to hear what our first star of the week is?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, good. So, our first star of the week, Dave, is that last weekend, it doesn't matter exactly how many days ago, last weekend, I went down to Virginia, or rather Maryland, to go visit our parents, who have just finally, after like 6 years, moved back from living in Sweden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is all very exciting. They have, like, stateside numbers. I called Dad because it was Father's Day, and I had to remember that I didn't need to figure out the time difference because they're just in Maryland now. Yeah,
it's very weird. They just have a regular phone number. And in fact, it's doubly weird for me because one of the things I did while I was down there is we are all now on the same phone plan.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, for like the first time since my 20s, I guess. We are back on that family plan. Although I feel I was going to feel a little weird about it, like, oh man, I'm back on my parents' cell phone plan. And then I remembered that that's actually not true. Mom and Dad are on my cell phone plan now, so it's a little different.
Oh yeah, no, that's a substantial difference. I mean, like in many ways it is similar, but no, you're good.
It is emotionally different. So like the whole time I was down there, and listen, it was a great weekend. I took like a Friday and Monday off. I drove down. Like I got there the same day that they flew in. So I wasn't like meeting them at the airport or anything, but like I was there the first day that they were back in the States. It was very nice. It has been a rare treat to see Mom and Dad these last couple of years, and it's exciting that they are back stateside. The actual things that we did on this stuff that that was technically a vacation for me, was not really vacation stuff. It was mostly like helping Mom and Dad get settled stuff. So it was just like running errands the whole weekend. Like we went to the Verizon store because they did not have phones, and we went to a car dealership because they do not have a car. And like we delivered stuff to their apartment and went to Target and went to IKEA for a while so they could talk about cabinets. And although that might not sound like a relaxing weekend, since none of it was for my apartment, and it was all like
all
stuff
very chill.
Yeah, like it was all stuff that they had to do, but I was just sort of like along for the ride. It was surprisingly chill.
No, it sounds really nice.
Plus, it's always a good excuse to get out to an IKEA because we do not have one in here in Cleveland, and I wanted to get some new couch pillows.
Yeah, dude, everything that basically is true of all stuff. Like I am happy to do what in any other universe would be chores if they are for someone else. Like as long as it doesn't impact my responsibility, like I'm not responsible for it, I'm happy to do way more stuff.
Yeah, dude, like we even went to the DMV so Mom could get a driver's license, and even that, I was like, yeah, man, it's cool, we're just hanging out. I mean, it's the DMV, whatever. Anyway, so that is our first.
This is a weird thing. Sorry, just very briefly, if you were in Ohio, you know this. Ohio doesn't have a DMV, We have a BMV. It's a Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And it just always throws me off. Like, everybody else has DMV, and we just have BMV for no reason. I don't understand why.
The really troubling part is that I know that we have it different than everyone else, but I can never remember which one is the Ohio one and which one is the everyone else one. So when, like, and you know, I don't have to go there that often. You know, like
it's
once
super
a
easy,
year.
man. Just think about any joke, and the opposite one is the one that we have.
But they rhyme. Like, it's a very similar sound. So, like, I have to Google it once a year, and I have to Google it both ways to be like, okay, look up DMV locations around me. There are none. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that all is the first star of the week. Dave, what is our second star of the week?
So I actually am also going to be going and seeing Mom and Dad down in Maryland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, Beth and I are about to take a long summer trip. It just sort of happens that we've got a number of things that we have to do, and they're all sort of far enough. We've got a wedding to go to in New Jersey, and then we have a conference that we're going to in Virginia. And they're sort of far enough away. And the way that it's best to travel with the babies is to do long trips over the course of like a day or two. Like, because it's a summer vacation and I have the time. Yeah. They're just way easier in the car if you're only in the car for like 4-hour kind of bursts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And so the places that we have to go are far enough away that it makes more sense to stay with Mom and Dad in Maryland for a few days in between the things rather than go home. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
Because, like, it's sort of, like, we would have to go all the way back home from New Jersey and then all the way down to Virginia, whereas, like, Maryland is sort of like a diagonal cut. But the end result of that is that, and I'm looking forward to each component element of this trip. Like, weddings are going to be fun, and then the wedding is in New Jersey. It's just outside New York City. So we're going to see Beth's brothers, and we're going to like go to the Bronx Zoo and do some like fun New York City stuff. So like that's going to be cool. And seeing Mom and Dad is great. So that's going to be cool. And the conference is great. So that's going to be cool. But I am going to be away from my house for 3 weeks.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's just like, I've got a buddy coming over to sort of like check on the house and like make sure things are cool. It's just like, man, 3 weeks is like a really long time.
That is a lot of weeks, my dude.
It is a lot of weeks to be gone. But like I said, like it's tough because like I am not looking forward to being gone for 3 weeks. Like I'm not. But each part of the trip is going to be fun. You know what I'm saying? So I am just hoping that like my kind of trip stamina, I have discovered actually, Matt, as I've gotten older. So when people read fantasy books, everybody's like, oh, I would be like, if I were in Tolkien's world, I'd be like an elf or like, oh no, I'm an orc or whatever, right? I've discovered a hobbit. That's what I am.
You just like to stay home, chill in the hole.
Well, yeah, okay, here's the thing. Some people use the phrase like, oh, hobbit, like, be introverted. Hobbits are not introverted. Hobbits hang out all the time.
Yeah, hobbits are like, extremely extroverted.
Yeah, they're
hobbits are like the
social.
most extroverted people in Middle-earth.
Yeah, like, hobbits are like, you come over to my place for dinner, and then I'll go over to your place for dinner, and then we can go to a third guy's place for lunch.
Right, yeah, their extroversion all sort of centers around chilling near home and eating meals as opposed to like going out by yourself to wander on a mountaintop for 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's my jam. Like, adventures are cool, but they definitely do make you late for dinner. So I've just discovered, like, I just want to hang out and like see good people and eat good food. Now, we are actually going to be eating a lot of very good food, so I'm excited about that. I feel like I'll maybe create like a little segment about all the food that I'm planning on eating, because we're going to eat some good New York City food and then some good DC food. The food in Virginia will be terrible because we're staying on a college campus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but New York City and Virginia, just outside DC, will have very good food. So that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so what, Matt, is our third star of the week?
Dave, third star of the week is that, as I mentioned in the first star, one of the things I did with Mom and Dad was we did like some cell phone switcheroo stuff. Like we went to the Verizon store. But as it happens, when we were there, they were running a special, and I had sort of been thinking about doing this anyway, and I had sort of earmarked some money for it. So,
Running a special?
Yeah, I had really been thinking about running a special. No, I had been thinking about buying an Apple Watch, and they were running a special on them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I bought one of these fancy watches, Dave. One of these tiny miracle boxes.
Yes. How is it? It seems, I don't know.
Okay. Here is the pitch that I've been giving people. Is that I got the
This is the pitch you gave yourself, is what you're saying.
Well, sure, but
you're just repeating it for everyone. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they agree with me. So the pitch is that I got the new one that like can get phone calls even when your phone is not in your pocket.
Oh, well, that is cool.
Right. And it also, with like new stuff that's coming out soon, you will be able to just stream podcasts on it. I can get podcasts on it now through sort of like a third-party app that kind of works. But what's cool is that now, like, I just went to the store the other day, and I left my wallet at home and my phone like, on purpose. I left my phone and my wallet at home. I just, like, put my watch on and grabbed my house key, and I was able to, like, use Apple Pay from my watch while I was listening to a podcast from the watch and, like, getting any text messages that would be coming in. And I didn't then, during the course of that walk, have the temptation to just, like, pull out my phone and look at Twitter, or pull out my phone and look at Facebook, and, like, all of that other stuff. So I'm still connected, but I don't have the constant temptation of just, like, well, I've got a video game in my pocket. I should probably be playing it during the 30 seconds that I'm sitting down right now.
Oh, okay. You know what, Matt? I was about to give you some static about buying this tiny ridiculous thing, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And like it also does a lot of other cool stuff. Like it has all of the like the activity tracking stuff. So it's like, hey, you should stand up, you know, like a little bit every hour, if nothing else. And then you should also like exercise this much a day and move around this much a day. And so it has like gamified walking around for me to the point where like a couple of days last week, I looked at my watch and I saw two things. I saw what time it was. It was like, it's like 10 o'clock. And then I also saw how many like calories I still needed to burn for the watch to be like pleased with my day. Like, for the watch to be pleased with my day. I was pleased with my day either way.
Like, you were good. You needed to appease this tiny...
Yeah, I needed to appease my new wrist leash that I wear. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just go for a walk. And so I've just been going on a lot of late-night walks, like, desperately trying to, like, eke in those last few steps before the clock switches over to 12. Last night I missed it I was out at midnight for a walk and I missed it by 16 calories. So was a heartbreak. Anyway, so yeah, it is a new thing that I have, and so I just wanted to talk about it because it's a lot of fun. There you go. That's the third star, Dave. What is our fourth star?
Well, speaking of your Apple Watch, Matt, it's time for...
We interrupt your regular broadcast of the Super Sentai Brothers to bring you a breaking news update.
Baby Watch. So, Baby Watch, man, what is happening? They are just exploding.
Whoa.
Figuratively. Metaphorically exploding. No, the babies haven't exploded, Matt.
Listen.
Anyways,
I watch a lot of episodes of Sentai, Dave. I just need to be sure. Whenever someone says something like the baby explodes, I've watched probably at least 3 episodes by this point where that does happen.
So their vocabularies are just like blowing up again. Metaphorically speaking.
So it's not like that episode where when they cry, things explode?
It is not like that. So they know a ton of animals, which is rad. They have recently figured out no, which is an important developmental step. And they say it in a really cute way. And they have not yet gotten to the point of like using no to express defiance. So it's still like... It's still endearing and adorable.
Right. They're expressing a preference and not an insistence.
So, Buddy Bear is super afraid of the vacuum. I guess just kids sometimes are afraid of the vacuum. And so he will walk over and he will say, "Vacuum?" Like he'll touch it when it's off. Is it vacuum? He'll be like, "Yeah, it's the vacuum. Do you want to turn it on?" "No." And that's how he says it. It's super adorable. He spends a lot of time actually preoccupied with the vacuum, which is a little bit concerning. They jump now. They can like just both feet off the ground, jump. They're climbing on everything, which is both super cute and good, and also a little bit concerning because they're figuring out how to climb up bookshelves and stuff, and that's not good.
Oh yeah.
And,
oh no, I definitely climbed up a bookshelf when I was a kid, and the bookshelf fell over backwards on me and buried me in books.
Yep. Yeah. So we're trying to avoid exactly that situation. So Beth, my wife, got the toothpick holders. You know the ones like it's a jar and then there's a lid with like a spinny bit on top, and you have to sort of line up the hole in the top of the lid with the hole in the top of the spinny bit, and then you can shake a toothpick out.
Oh,
you know the one I mean? Yeah. So she got those, and then she has these little colored dowels, and she gave them the colored dowels, and they were just putting colored dowels into the toothpick holder for like 45 minutes.
Just fascinated by these two.
Yeah, just like pick up a dowel,
sticks.
Put it in the thing. Pick up a dowel, but like for 45 minutes because they're just they're like, oh man, this is okay, cool. I can still do it. Yeah, it's amazing. So they're doing super well, and everything is very exciting with them. What, Matt, is our fifth star of the week?
Dave, fifth star of the week is, you may recall I was telling you in the third star of the week about a walk that I took where I just had my watch and my house key with me.
Oh, yeah. And you could go and you did all sorts of stuff with just your watch. It was really nice because you didn't have your phone on you. So you sort of weren't tempted to be on Instagram or Twitter or play video games or whatever.
Yeah, this was all 3 minutes ago. I'm sure the listening audience remembers.
So anyways, Matt, you took this walk.
So I took this walk the other day, and one of the things that was nice about it is that I live pretty close to Lake Erie, so I just sort of swung around, and I happened across just a group of my friends already on the beach in a beach hang already in progress.
Well, that is super cool.
Yeah, it is that is the dream of the summer, right? You're out for a walk, you're having a day, you're just sort of enjoying a stroll down the beach, and then you look over and you see the people who are playing frisbee over there are people that you already know, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go sit down with them in the extra chair that they brought, and now I'm at a beach party. It was amazing.
So, I mean, just not to throw any weirdness on this, but why weren't you already informed of this beach party?
I mean, it is a semi-regular beach hang at that location, I think.
I see. Okay. No, that makes more sense.
And to be fair, I am not, as much as I love to take a walk down to the beach, I'm not normally a guy who hangs out, once I get to the beach. And so, even if I was invited to something like that, I would usually ignore it. But running across it in the way that I did was really lovely. And that's it.
Right,
I don't have a lot of great jokes about it.
That makes a lot of sense from what I know about you.
Yeah. That is the ideal way to come across a beach party, because then, as soon as I'm done beaching it, which, to be honest, happens in about a half an hour, I'm not that into just sitting on a beach, I can just get up and leave. And, there was no expectation of me being there anyway, so I got to enjoy a quick beach party. They got to hang out with me as well. And then, once I left, everything's cool. I just continued to finish my walk, got to get those steps in, and headed on home. Like I said, I don't have a lot of great jokes about this one. It was just a fun thing that happened to me yesterday.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, impromptu beach parties are the best. So, congratulations, Matt.
Thank you.
You did it. You did summer.
I did summer. I did it right. You know what else is the best, Dave? Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Specifically episode 29, which we are going to take a break and watch, and then we will be right back. Okay, welcome back. So we have just finished watching Dance, the Invasion Cram School. This episode is so out there that I actually had to watch it twice, because the first time I watched it, I was so like bewildered that I forgot to take notes.
It's... Dude. Yeah.
And it's not
this
even
episode...
that it's not even that there's like that much bewildering stuff. It's just that there's a few things in the beginning that I kept waiting to be explained, and just that it never happened. And so I just never, it was like, well, I'll wait for them to tell me who this person is before I start writing down the notes, so I have some context. And then they never told me, so I never started writing notes.
Yeah, that just never happened, and then you had to, right. Mm-hmm. So, dude, I mean, like, let's just get into it, because it's not going to help anybody for us to just talk about how bewildering it is. So, the opening bit of this episode, before we get to the the theme song, is just a Baranoia dance party.
Yeah, and the weird thing about it is that this Baranoia dance party does not then occur again later in the episode. So this is not a sneak preview. This is a cold open.
Yeah. And there's no dialogue. Like, there's nothing. We just... Like, I restarted it because I wanted to make sure I hadn't missed something. There wasn't anything to miss. There's just Baranoia dancing. And then we get the theme song, okay? So, what the episode actually starts is that Shohei is at Juri's place, and he is helping her make...
This is one of the questions I could not answer.
Yeah. I mean, I assumed it's Juri's place. Maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe they're at the kid's place.
So Shohei has stopped by a place where Juri is.
And there is also a kid there.
Yes.
Masao.
Now,
Okay.
you may wonder, who is Masao, and what relation does he have to Juri? I also wonder, and I just
had that
watched this
exact same
episode
question.
twice.
So, Shohei is making dumplings, I guess, and he refers to Juri. Juri, just by the way, I'm only mentioning this because I continue to love how cutesy Juri is when she's not in uniform, because and she is wearing like 2 braided pigtails with like pom-poms at the end. It's amazing.
Yeah, she is in her civvies, and whenever Juri is in her civvies, it is a good look. And I love she's got a yellow t-shirt on, which is like one of the only times this whole season we have seen one of the Rangers in their civilian clothes wearing their proper color. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, and again, it's just that she's such a hard case in like every other circumstance. I love the juxtaposition. She's
even a pretty like hard case in this situation, because Shohei, who by the way has arrived in his like Ohranger jumpsuit, so he is wearing his like military uniform with a pink apron on over it because he's doing the cooking, and he's like, oh yeah, like Juri's very good at a lot of things, but she's a terrible cook.
Yeah, and he refers to her as Old Lady Juri, and she just I would not want to be on the receiving end of this death glare.
It is withering.
Yeah, so Shohei course corrects like pretty quickly, and he does like a weird little dance, and he brings these dumplings over. So this kid, apparently, is like a genius. This is what Juri says. She says, well, Masao here is a genius. And, like, look. And we look over the wall, and he has got just a wall full of 100% graded, like, schoolwork.
Yeah, this is why I don't think that it's her place. Because
yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you're probably right. And Shohei's like, wow, dude, that's crazy. What's going on? And in response to this, Matt, yeah,
Masao just gets up from his chair halfway through eating a dumpling, by the way. He hasn't even finished the first one. And he starts doing this little, like, song and dance routine. And then Shohei, because I think he's trying to be a polite guest and he doesn't know what's happening, also tries to, like, copy him. Like, oh, I guess we're dancing now?
I guess. Yeah,
okay.
Let's just stop dinner and let's do what you're doing, which is a little dance.
And Juri says, listen, the thing that's going on with Masao is that he has recently begun attending this like late night cram school, like this after school cram school.
Yes.
Where they are teaching him to sing and dance. And weirdly, ever since he started doing this singing and dancing stuff, all of his grades have gone up like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And Shohei listens to her say this. It's like, well, so he just started singing and dancing, and now all of a sudden his grades are perfect. That's weird.
Oh, that's right.
And Juri's
says,
yeah, it is weird. I mean, I was gonna go check it out. I was already planning on going to check it out. So I'm just gonna do that right now after this.
So the next thing we see is that Juri has taken Masao to this cram school. So there's like a bunch of kids there, okay,
and their parents.
So and their parents for some reason, and so they all go in, and the kids are just standing around in a completely empty room.
Mm-hmm.
And then the door opens, and Mr. Henna, Professor Henna, Dr. Henna, the robot researcher, sort of weird strides in. And he is wearing a multicolored, sequined tuxedo. By multicolored, each piece is a different color. It's not like rainbows. And he has some maracas, and he starts a tape recorder. And he starts doing...
And real quick, he presses the wrong button. He presses, rewind on a CD player, and then it starts playing. I know that is the tiniest quibble, but, it's a close-up on the buttons, and he presses the wrong one. You would think that he would at least just look at what he was doing. This was going to be on television.
So they're all... Man, I didn't notice that, and I'm so glad that I didn't. And so everybody just starts dancing around, and the words of the song are like, "Hey, hey, hey, I'm a gentleman of Baranoia,
which
we
first
will take
of all,
over the earth."
Red flag.
Yeah, everybody knows that Baranoia is bad. This is not a matter of this is not a top secret government thing that only the Rangers know. Everybody knows the Baranoia is the force that is attacking Earth.
Yeah,
but everybody is cool with this.
In this song, not only are they talking about how great Baranoia is, they're specifically calling out how great Acha and Kocha are, and how Baranoia would be nothing without them.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the school is called, the Acha Kocha School, or something like that. It's not exactly the Acha Kocha School, but it's, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And so Juri says, well, that's obviously bad. So once everybody files out, she says, hey, I've got an Ohranger emergency I've got to go deal with. You go head home and I'm going to deal with that. So everybody clears out. And then Drew just sort of loops back. She doesn't even loop back. She just literally turns on her heels and then drops down into a crouch and sneaks back into the school. And so she hears an argument between Professor Henna and Acha, who is just there.
Yeah.
And the disagreement is that Professor Henna is saying, all right, I fulfilled my end of the bargain. You've got to let me dissect you now. I get to figure out what's going up in, your weird robot guts.
To which Acha is not super into. He's backing up and kind of cowering in the corner hey man, listen, I know what I said, but why don't we just table that for now? And then maybe later maybe you can dissect me.
Okay, here's the thing. Can we discuss Professor Henna for a second? Because he's apparently super cool with selling out the Earth to gain more robot knowledge.
Okay, that might be the case, but it might not be. There's a bit at the end of the episode that is sort of
there is a little
this. But again, the thing at the end of the episode might not be a twist to this. I genuinely don't know. But remind me at the end that we should talk about it.
Okay, so Juri jumps in and she says, I knew this was suspicious. And then a robot spider kind of lands on her neck and then injects something into her, and then it becomes a giant spider, and it's Bara Tarantula. That's the monster for this week.
Yeah, there is a sort of horrifying moment where it's on her neck and it bites her. She pulls it off of her neck and throws it, and then it just lands directly on Mr. Henna's face. And
then he flips out for a little bit.
And the horrifying moment there is just imagining a spider being on your face, which is the worst. And that is not the last time this episode I will live that horror.
So, and she throws it down, and then he turns into it. He grows, so he's got shrinking powers, I guess. And Acha says, like, all right, Bara Tarantula, 6-8 time. And he does something, and then Juri starts dancing, which I thought was actually, that was very clever.
Yeah, so he's like a spider dance-based robot. Specifically...
well, the Tarantella.
The Tarantella.
I mean, that is his, the thing. And, you know, I would explain why that's funny, except the chief is literally going to do it in 30 seconds, so I'll just leave it for him.
Yeah. What the one other thing to note in this scene where she is doing the Tarantella is that if you look at her white gloves, they are like blackened and filthy, and I have no idea why. It's like she was shoveling coal before she did this scene. It's
Dude, just last week's gloves. Don't even worry about it. So there, she's like trying to do something. The other Rangers arrive to save her. There's a fight. The fight is inconclusive. Like, they show up, they save Oyello, everybody's fine.
Yeah, like they shoot at Bara Tarantula with King Smashers, and he gets knocked off the wall, but like then he shrinks down again and skitters away, and they can't find him.
Yeah. So we go back to the base, and while we're there, the first thing that we see is that the chief notices that there is some sort of, like, there's like a little needle with like a transponder in it in Juri's neck, and he pulls that out, and she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was there. That was so terrible. That must be how he was like forcing me to dance. It's like, yes, of course, this makes sense. So the chief explains why this is actually a pretty funny joke that Bara Tarantula can do this. He says, he was making you dance the Tarantella, which is an Italian folk dance. And the idea is that if you got bit by a poisonous spider or a poisonous tarantula, this like, it's like super energetic. This like super energetic dance would like work the poison out of your system. And so it would, and that's why it's called the Tarantella. And that's what he was making you do. So I thought that was a pretty funny joke.
It is very clever, and it is also sort of too clever because the episode needs the chief to come in and tell you this.
Yeah, like, unless you happen to know that thing, this is not a joke that actually works.
Right. This is like one of the writers is like, dude, okay, here's what we're going to do. We've got this spider monster. We've got this dance school. She's going to dance the Tarantella. And everyone looked at him and was like, why would she do that? What are you talking about?
Like,
and he
why
goes
would
on
she
a big
possibly
explanation.
do that?
And he's like, oh no, it's going to be really funny because of Southern Italian folk dancing. And they were like, okay, listen, you can put it in the episode, but somebody has to like literally explain what this means.
Yeah. I just realized, Matt, I had never actually watched a Tarantella. It's pretty energetic dance. I'm watching one right now.
I mean, okay, does it look anything like what Jerry was doing?
Well, you know, Matt, to be honest, I'd have to pull Juri's thing up, and I'm just not willing to do that. But, this is definitely an energetic dance. Like, you'd be moving. I don't know that it would do anything for, like, a spider bite, but...
Well, listen, it's, that is not necessarily... It's good dance advice, maybe not good spider advice.
Oh, wait, Matt, so apparently Tarantellas are usually in 6/8 time, so that totally works.
Oh, nice.
Wow, somebody got really into, listen, one of the writers is in like an Italian culture appreciation club, guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Like, there is no way they just kind of like did this one. Anyways, so the chief explains, like, this is what's going on with the Tarantella, like, this is what's up. There is still zero explanation, by the way, as to why literally any of this would help improve a child's grades.
No, and when we do get the explanation later, it's very
so
stupid.
Bad. It's a very, very bad explanation.
So, okay, what the Ohrangers come to the very simple conclusion, like, well, we need to close down this school. It's an evil plot. Like, we cannot allow them to remain in operation. And as it turns out, that's actually kind of okay with Acha and Kocha, because the next scene is up on the moon, and they're like, okay, yeah, they found us out. We were probably, like, the song and dance routine about how great Baranoia is probably
that was
much.
Maybe a misstep on our part, admittedly.
But, like, we're kind of recalibrating the plan a little bit. Everything will be cool. We've upgraded Bara Tarantula. and you see Barra Tarantula, and like he doesn't really look visibly upgraded. I think he has like a little more yellow on his costume.
A little more paint job, yeah.
And Bull Don't makes like a really like biting criticism of parents who put their children in cram school. And he was like, listen, these parents don't care what happens at the cram school. Like, it's okay.
They could not care less. All they care about.
Yeah, like literally all they care about is whether or not their kids are getting good grades. Like, if you just flat out told them, hi, I'm an evil robot from space and I want to control your child's mind, but he will get perfect grades and probably get into a private middle school, like, they will go along with it. And to drive this point home, the next scene is the Ohrangers talking to Masao's mother, I think?
Yes.
And she's like, dude, I don't care. He has a chance to get into a private middle school.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, but it was being run by Paranoia, and she says, yeah, okay, but are you going to be responsible for his grades and his, like, academic progress and the rest of his life? Are you? No, I didn't think so.
Like, I am being a good parent here. And it felt so good to see this woman yell at a bunch of uniformed Sentai people, because this actress, Dave, I don't know if you noticed it, this is the chief.
I totally did not notice
Yeah,
that.
this is the chief from Jetman. This is, okay, we have seen this actress in all 4 seasons we've done, because she was the chief in Jetman. She was Ko's mother in Die Ranger. She was a like TV reporter in an episode of Kaku Ranger, and now she's got this bit part here in this episode.
Dude, I love this element of the Super Sentai series, that it just kind of like, there is a stable of actors that they just say like, hey, could you come do like X or Y or Z? I just think it's a really cool little element.
I do love it. I just love, and especially like when, it's great when someone tells me, like a couple of weeks ago when someone told us like, hey, you totally missed that this one, that the person who played, was it Karis, was also the actress who played Gara. But when I see it, I feel like...
Yeah, then you feel super good.
Yeah. I feel like a weird like TV detective. I mean, right. A detective about TV, not a detective in a TV show.
Yeah, so anyways, to underscore this point, the next thing we see is Masao at school, and the teacher is handing out an exam. And he is just staring at it, and he's like, man, I just don't... He freezes. He's like, I don't think I'm going to do well on this, and so he just does nothing.
Oh, yeah, dude, boy, do I know that look. I mean, it's not that I know that look from seeing it on the faces of students. I remember feeling that feel. Just like looking at a math test and wondering like, has anyone ever told me about any of this before? I'm sure they have, but I cannot recall at this moment. Anyway, school flashbacks, folks. But what happened next never happened to me in school, because what is happening to Masao is he is being spied on through like 17 cameras by 2 separate teams.
Yeah, so the Rangers have set up surveillance on Masao to see if they can't figure out what Paranoia is doing. Paranoia has also set up surveillance, presumably to just keep doing what they've already been doing.
Yeah, so what Paranoia does is they're like, oh man, Masao is going to fail this test. And instead of writing into the episode that somehow they can use like this control chip to just implant information into his brain, instead what has happened is that Paranoia has sent down a tiny robotic spider on a string. And it's not that tiny. It's, the size of a deck of playing cards.
Yeah, it's noticeable. That's a very easy way to say it. And it's just sort of chilling out with Masao.
And it's just like whispering the answers into his ear. So for this to work at scale for all of the children who are in this same cram school, like imagine if 2 or 3 of them are in the same class and the teacher just looks out and sees 2 or 3 like weird robot spiders dangling from the ceiling and then just decides that that's fine and doesn't like, I don't know, scream or throw the fire alarm or something. This is what their plan is.
Yeah, like this is the whole thing.
And also, like, I mean, I guess that the control chips will be used for something at some point to, like, take over the world. But so far, all we know is that it doesn't control their mind, because if it did, they would just put information in the mind. It does kind of control their bodies, but again, it only controls the bodies of, like, these 20 kids who go to this cram school. Like, it seems like a lot of effort for not a lot of payoff for Paranoia.
And there's also, normally we get at least a brief explanation scene as to, like, oh, this is how this plan will eventually play out. None of that. Like, Burrow Tarantula doesn't explain it, Achin Kocha don't explain it, like, Bacchus Rat, just nothing. All we have is Tarantula, Tarantella, cram school. Math quiz answers. Like, that's it. That's the whole plan. So, the Rangers do notice that there is some sort of radio transmission. They're like, oh man, must be Paranoia. Let's go check it out. So they run out of their surveillance van, and they've got like a portable radio tracker, like little radar thing. And they're kind of running around, and what they find is Paranoia, and they are in the gym storage locker.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah,
in the school.
They've just set up in the school, like next to the like a pile of basketballs. And they have like a little like computer set up in there where they are like counter surveilling and feeding answers to Masao. And the Rangers just roll in and they're like, hey dudes, what's up?
Can't do that. So they fight, and like in enclosed spaces, apparently Bara Tarantula is not to be trifled with, because he sort of manages to like huck them all out of windows. So he throws them all out of windows, and I really appreciate that they gave us the 10 seconds that they needed in this fight to show Bara Tarantula kicking and throwing them all out of windows. Because normally I feel like what we would get is just they would be in the gym, and then there would be a scene of everybody's feet hitting the ground outside, and then we would be outside. So I liked the story continuity that they at least gave us that. So now the fight is outside, the Rangers all transform, and then the fight kind of continues. Bara Tarantula launches... I'm glad that this is a robot monster, because it makes this like less horrifying, because what his attack is that he just launches a tarantula at your face.
Yeah, it's definitely like a Half-Life face-hugger sort of situation.
Half-Life is not where I would have gone if I needed a face hugger, but sure.
I don't know, where would you have gone?
Aliens, Matt.
Here's a fun fact about Matt. I have played Half-Life. I have never watched Alien.
No kidding.
Yeah, it looks like a scary
good
movie.
You should watch it. Kinda. It's a monster movie. The problem can be solved with a shotgun, so it falls in my I'm fine watching it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Have I ever explained that rule on air before?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I was hoping that these spiders on their face would do a little like mind control-y stuff the same way that the control chip did. Because I would get to call them like a Starro style thing. It doesn't really work for the episode. I just wanted to tell you so that you could experience that thought process that I had.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Yeah, no problem.
That's a good one. Yeah, none of that happens. He just electrifies them on their faces.
Yeah, that's very bad.
Yeah. So they sort of like knock it off, and then Yellow gets nuts with her nunchucks. It's great. Like, she is not deterred by she doesn't get hit, I think, with an electric face tarantula.
No, that was only Momo and Yuji.
By the way. I'm never going to be in a band, so if you want to use electric face tarantula as the name of your band, feel free. I do expect to be credited in your like liner notes, but I don't think that's actually a thing that anybody does anymore.
Yeah. There is a brief moment where the show remembers that Yuji is a great gymnast, and he does like a cool little bit of like parallel bar flipping around and does a jump kick.
That was good.
Sort of reminiscent of that scene near the end of Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that one back. I'd successfully forgotten.
Hey man,
that.
Jurassic Park is back these days.
I guess. So anyways, and then Ricky shows up, so that's fun.
Yeah,
just literally out of nowhere.
They just look over like, oh, Ricky, you came. Like, they didn't call him. He's just shown up.
Yeah,
they didn't
even call for
dudes.
reinforcements. he's like, Ricky, no, you're fighting me. And then he just henshins and then fights. It's rad. My opinion of Ricky has not diminished at all as of this episode.
No, although it does kind of make it feel as though this episode was originally going to come earlier in the season, like before Ricky was in it. And then they just got to this part. They're like, oh, right, we spent the last 3 episodes introducing Ricky. We should have him show up.
Yeah. So he joins the fight. They kind of go back and forth. The Rangers pull out the Ole Bazooka. And I don't know why I sort of never noticed it before now, but the Ohranger like pose and salute is sort of uncomfortably close to a Nazi salute. You ever noticed that?
I can't say that I have, Dave.
Well, go and watch that episode again, especially when that bazooka comes down. It's just a little, like, their hands are up, like their palms are up instead of out, so it's not quite there, but like it's uncomfortably close. Anyways, so they do Ole Bazooka. That's great.
Which would be a great finishing move for Sami Zayn.
That would be a great finishing move for Sami Zayn.
Anyway. Sorry, guys. It's 10:15. That's a little later than we normally record, so I'm just...
And
I feel like I'm getting
hot.
a little loose.
So anyways, so now it's time for Giant Monster. That's great. They call Orobo. I think it's really fun that they call the Chouriki mobiles as though they're not also going to call Red Puncher. Like, I appreciate that they maintain the pretense of like, oh no, we only bring Red Puncher out when we really need to. So they call the Chouriki mobiles, and Orobo's there, and he just gets a giant electric face tarantula.
Well, he gets a net.
I thought he got both.
Man, I don't know.
He gets either an electric face tarantula and a net, or just a net. Either way, it's not super great for Orobo. They do call Red Puncher.
And this is beautiful.
Obvious.
They call Red Puncher. And, you know, like, Goro teleports from inside Ohranger Robo to inside Red Puncher. Red Puncher is still sort of like mid-flight towards Barra Tarantula when he gets hit with a giant electric net of his own and just goes down.
Yeah. So what the heck do my notes say? I was using voice to text, Matt, and my notes say, here's something I don't understand about Google Note voice to text. It pulls things into text that not only is not what I said, and I get that because this show has a lot of words that aren't really words because they're made up for a children's television program. But what it pulled the word lawn trade, LONTRADE, and that's not a word.
No.
And then it also says King Perimeter, but it spells it wrong. But it's spelled King Perimeter instead of King Perimeter. King Perimeter, PERIMITER. But it says it that way twice. I don't know. There's a lot going on here.
In any case, Ricky does summon King Pyramiter. Which we have not come to a good pronunciation on that one yet, have we? I think we're sort of fighting back and forth.
It's a weird word. And King Pyramiter is kind of lame, frankly.
I mean, it's a giant unstoppable fortress tank, so that's cool.
Okay, so when you say it like that, it's cool. When you say, like, I'm just disappointed in the combination, because they don't combine so much as King Pyramiter is a very large garage, which we discussed, but
what I do like is that King Pyramiter is, like, 2.5 times the size of Barra Tarantula.
He's just truly astonishingly large. And there is
the camera pulls back, and it's comical.
And there is a really good moment where you see Barra Tarantula, like, literally cowering in fear. Like, he was not prepared for the appearance of a robot this large.
Like, King Pyramiter has to point his guns down to shoot him.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So then that's it. They kill Barra Tarantula.
And then we get, okay, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the episode, because we get one last scene with Mr. Henna. So the O-Rangers are hanging out, and Masao is playing basketball with some friends. And Mr. Henna walks up, and he's like, hey guys, I'm from Baranoia. Do you want to get 100% on all your homework? And they're like, dude, Like, you're very weird. Please leave us alone.
Yeah, that would be great if we could be playing basketball without you here.
And he sort of like, I think he tries to continue to talk to them, and the Ohrangers walk up, and they're like, hey, Mr. Henna, what the heck? And Goro sees that Mr. Henna has that same, like, control chip in his neck that everyone else did. And he pulls it off, and when he does, Mr. Henna realizes, like, oh, I'm dressed funny and apparently have been doing this stuff this whole time. So what I'm really curious about is at what point that control chip got put in Mr. Henna's neck.
I have no... Okay, so here's the thing. Is why would... If there's a control chip in his neck, why would they have had to make a deal with him to get him? I don't know. The whole thing is weird. But he does stick those 2 shuttlecocks on his head again. I don't understand.
Yes.
I don't get it.
And he and the Ohrangers say, like, listen, Mr. Henna, Acha and Gojo were, like, mind controlling you and using you to help advance the Baranoia Empire, and everyone almost died. So you can't hang out with them. They're extremely dangerous. Mr. Henna laughs at them, puts those suction cup shuttlecocks on his head, and if you think that was not difficult to say, you are wrong. And just, like, does his weird lunge walk away, laughing about how someday he will dismember these robots. It's an unsettling moment.
Yeah, it's, yeah, it is very, very weird.
Okay, Dave, but that is the end of that episode, but it is not, of course, the end of our episode. Because right now, before we get out of here, we need to determine how Barra Tarantula fares in the Creature Royale.
Okay, so he's got a fun gimmick. I like that he makes people dance the tarantella. That's fun. Again, I literally don't think he has any lines. So as a character, he's sort of non-existent. Which always, I feel like, just kind of puts you down sort of near the bottom of the list.
Yeah, you can only go so high on the list if you don't have any dialogue.
Yeah. So he does have, like, a pretty fun thing. I am sort of looking in the realm of, actually, Matt, where I'm looking is, it's kind of low on the list. I'm looking at Sergeant Cannon.
Okay.
Because he's got a really cool gimmick. Like, I like the idea that, like, Sergeant Cannon, remember, was just, like, a giant living artillery piece. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a fun thing, and he looked pretty cool, and Barra Tarantula looks pretty cool. But, like, he's definitely better than Sergeant Cannon, because Sergeant Cannon, like, has his most powerful attack is, like, 1 artillery shell, and then he's done, and then he dies. So he's definitely better than Sergeant Cannon. But in the same, like, it's a cool, fun gimmick. I like the idea. You've got a cool look, but beyond that, you're like, you just kind of don't exist.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And he gets to do more than Sergeant Cannon, as you say. So I think he should probably go, let's see, above Sergeant Cannon is Man of Jars.
Yeah, they were into Camera Dimension.
Dave, who
Bar
was
of
Man of
Builder.
Jars?
I cannot remember, actually. I was just about to ask you that same question.
Seems like a Die Ranger monster. Let me look this up. Honestly, dude, I cannot find it.
Okay, well, I don't know. I guess we liked him better than Sergeant Cannon when we put him on the list there. So, just above that is, like, Barra Boxer, Barra Missiler, Fantastic Character Finder 2016 Energy Butt.
I wouldn't put him that high, because that puts him again above, like, Archbishop Saw, who is that great, but not. Is kind of Emperor Palpatine, so...
I tell you what, let's do this. I would say, since we literally can't remember who Man of Jars is, he's better than Man of Jars, but not better than Camera Dimension.
No, Camera Dimension had some cool gimmicks.
Yeah, okay, well, there we go. So Barra Tarantula is the new spot 113.
Man, I wish there were more, like, top-of-the-list monsters in this show. I feel like we're having to drop down to the bottom sort of a lot.
Yeah, we are. But I feel like it'll kind of come out in the wash, because when we get to the boss list, I like these bosses quite a bit. And I think Bacchus Wrath has a lot to offer that we're going to see later on down the road.
I hope so. Anyway, that, Dave, is going to do it for another episode of For Your Eyes, Ohranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, and I hope that you do, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you find the show, because that helps us get featured, which helps other people join in on the fun. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. If you would like to listen to any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do so at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Recently redesigned, I believe. Anyway, once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.